Manhwa and his family finally have a new home after achieving a huge contribution throughout the elite citizens of Dragon City. Xiao was so happy after having a new home and a bouncy bed after staying at their rental house for too long. She even began to act like ignorant after seeing new things at her eyes. This was Honghu Gardens, which is their new house, and Manhwa was so happy for making his family satisfied for new home. However, Xiao suddenly not speaking after being so excited from their new house. Somehow, she felt that she doesn't feel like changing their house, and so Manhwa asked her if what's the reason for it. She remembers what Manhwa told at her about the monsters going to attack more frequently. The survival communities also have policies that family like theirs which have ability and a chance to move Tian Fu Fan Street. One day, if all those with ability move from Tian Fu Fan Street, it will only be left with those older, sick and crippled people. Manhwa thought that her words are reasonable about this issue. So, they look at each other to agree into something. Their mother was there for many years and suggested that this house was a good idea. So, Manhwa asks his father. So, his father agreed with it. Therefore, he immediately comforts Xiao to avoid thinking unnecessary things. He made fun at her for being crybaby while telling her that this place will be better for them. She suddenly got mad after Manhwa teases her up. Their parents were too happy to see them that they going along again after all the problem that they've been through. Under Elder Ning's recommendation, Manhwa went for youth training camp to train harvest and hunt technique. Meanwhile, Manhwa had to take a lesson from Lightning Team Youth Training Holiday class. He also has completed a few Super Beast harvests. With Elder Ning, thus he gained some connection with Lightning Team's higher-ups. Not long after, agricultural notification letter reached their house. Fei Qingchu got an additional mark during the test with extra 0.5-point advantage after gotten into military school's heroic spirit course, unlike his past life where he could only be a normal soldier. Because of their grandma Wang entered the Immortal Club, Xiao Huan gotten special privilege to change to a better and closer to school's rental house. Since he was already teen, according to government policies, he can request for 705 to stay the same. Even though they didn't go to Honghu Garden, however, their house became more spacious. After the busy holiday came to end and the time for their school started again. The next day at Chendong, Jiusha Area University City, Xiao suddenly got amazed again from the technology from this university. This was the Construction High's AI drone group that used to welcome freshmen, and they have all sorts of disruption and attack system. They saw some students practicing their forms to enter for the entrance exam. Xiao was curious about the light fog above the students' heads, so Manhwa explains that this was their war soul that formed with countless spirits. In front of them is the Agricultural University. Manhwa wants to move forward. All of the students gathered to start the freshman ceremonial to their university. As Xiao walking, she noticed something. She smelled something foul from this area. This was caused by the countless monsters that fertilized and mix of microorganisms. Xiao was speechless about this. Manhwa added that this was agricultural, that's why they put everything in to help the agriculture. Before the army moves out, the food needs to be moved, and without agricultural research on plant, they will only suffer from hunger. The ginseng sky tree is all high energy bread tree. Not only they have high nutrients and also having the tree gum for being natural gel type of medicine that can improve and speed up wound recovery. While Xiao was amazed of the huge skeleton, Manhwa told her that this monster was invaded the Dragon City 25 years ago, and to suppress this lightning god beast they needed the work of 5 god realms super being. She was amazed of how powerful was this monster. It was so strong but ended up dead, and the bones was useless and thrown here to use as school entrance. The martial artist course and tamer course's arena competition was trying to decide which was the agricultural university's strongest course. Manhwa invites his parents to what over the martial artist course and tamer course to decide which one was the stronger. They were about this, so they decided to go for it. In agricultural university, even among the whole super being circle, tamer course and martial art course always fight because of different mindset. To encourage the students to work hard, the agricultural university will arrange freshmen to have a duel. The guy began to expand his powers to show the powers martial art course to all freshmen. However, the guy starts to cast his power while teasing the martial art course for being a group of reckless bear-hen fighters. It turns out that he was a tamer and suddenly summoned a monster using his power. The martial artist course begun to jump towards the monster. While the monster and the guy were about to collide, they did everything to land a powerful blow to each other. The martial artist student was confidently to kill this monster with his power. He then suddenly rushes toward the host while it's being off-guarded to control the tamed monster. The martial artist was so close to lunges at him while he was standing still. The tamed monster became aware of the situation. So, it uses its tail to attack him even though he crossed at him. He slammed him with his tail, that resulting him to flew away from the host while standing still. He purposely shown an opening, and yet the martial artist can't tell his intention, that making him plain stupid by his action. Everyone cheered him up for being a good super being. Xiao Cao becomes so excited after seeing the tamer course capable of what it can do. As they talking to each other, someone told them that Meng Kao has to pick the martial art course. She added that she was being curious of his talent and points and follow up a question of why he didn't join to resource course. Meng Kao can't talk about the limit type technique, so he changes the topic that he wanted to fight the monsters barehanded, since relying in gun and cannon mechanic wasn't fun. So, she decided not to force Meng Kao to choose the resource course since it's not too late. She invited him to go for the senior sisters to register them. They finally arrived at the registration area. She helped Meng Kao for their registration since they are freshmen from this university. Meng Kao thanked her up for helping him to enrolling to the university that saves them a lot of time. They continue to explore the agriculture university to seek some information. Zushi told to Meng Kao's parents that they couldn't go any further, but the canteen prepared many foods for them that they can buffet. Meng Kao supported this, that the agricultural university's food was delicious, that they might go try. Xiao Cao immediately got excited for it. She pushes her parents toward the canteen while their parents were worried for Meng Kao. He got speechless for Xiao Cao actions. Zushi compliments Xiao Cao's cuteness while Meng Kao agreed for it. However, someone called Meng Kao's name behind them. As they turn around, they saw Feng from the entrance exam. Meng Kao thought that Feng would be a cool guy that never talked too much, but somehow, he's way too talkative. Zushi wanted to leave him alone since one of Meng Kao's friends came up. She immediately leaves them both while Meng Kao and Feng waving at her. Just a sudden, Feng wraps his hand to Meng Kao's neck. He wanted to guide Meng Kao from the martial college with him and introduce to their class. Meanwhile, at the Agricultural University and Life Force Science Academy, Meng Kao was wondering why Feng chooses the Agricultural University even though his points aren't enough to go Dragon University. Feng introduces that the martial art course among the freshmen is only need to take note of 3 people. They are known as the Freshmen's 4 Elite. Not only do their score rank top 5, also many main vessels are activated. She introduced Sunya, which is a rank 1 in martial art course point with 77 main vessels activated and has great footwork, knows many strategic and extremely hard to deal with. The other one is Duan Lion, a rank 2 in martial art course point with 65 vessels activated and has strong skin and muscular, and he advises him not to fight head on with him. The next one is Zhang Yu, a rank 4 with 60 main vessels activated, but 90% of the lower part are activated, meaningly he was specializing with speed and jump power. But Meng Kao got curious why there's only 3 people that he introduced instead of 4 people. He said that he's with these 4 elites. He named himself as the rank 5 in martial art course point with 60 main vessels activated, but unlike the other, most focused on both arms. He flexes his energy vessels at Meng Kao. Upon Meng Kao's assumption, he definitely had higher points than Feng, so he assumed that he might be rank 3. He said that Feng needs to know something, which is common sense. There will be 5 elites among the 4 elites, and that 5th one is the strongest of all, so Feng got confused. Somehow, one teacher had announced the 55th Agricultural Martial Art Course students will be represented to welcome the freshman students. This guy was Jiang Ming, known as cold-blooded martial art course instructor, a 6-star heaven realm. The students were preparing for themselves as freshman students. Jiang Ming starting to call out all the students to split each other depending on their gender and change into their combat set. As Meng Kao expected of the Agricultural University, the set is much more comfortable than the entrance exam one. He immediately prepares himself. However, each student's head cup has 2,000 starting monster coin. Meng Kao felt awkward after the weird design of the cup because of its ugliness. In Agricultural University, they show the list of prices of what lesson they want to learn, which means they are the one will be decided. The students begun to panic as they saw the amount of Jiang Ming instructor need, while the other students thought that one meal is like a robbery for its amount. While Feng was talking, Meng Kao burst out laughing as he saw him having this cup at his head, that looking him way too funny for him. While Meng Kao had a doubt, Jiang Ming told the students not to worry so much, because the school will provide as many chances to obtain monster coin to ensure that everyone gets treatment and things that fit their combat ability. The game rule was in half hour. Everyone who'll stay can freely interact. So, Jiang Ming advises them to think of a way to take other people's monster coin and put it into their cup. However, their combat set can protect them, meaningly they don't have to worry about getting injured. Jiang Ming tosses a coin to indicate the game starts from now on. Because of the coin that he tossed, the students start to fight behind them for a monster coin. Everyone begun to attack each other to take others' monster coins. One of the students took the other student's coin. However, she used these coins to throw to the other students to make a distraction. She then trips the guy to fall off from the ground. She made a successful kick to make this guy turn around. She then made another attack from the guy to make all the coins throw away from the cup. This woman was Sunya, that one of the elite students from martial art course. From out of nowhere, one student was praising her for being so good. But she didn't show any mercy, and attacks the off-guarded woman while saying that monster coins can't be earned by praising others. Jiang Ming amazed for Sunya's performance for being smart and rules that making her fit to absorb Wyvern Dragon type Super Beast soul to cultivate. He assumed that she could become like Teacher Lai. Teacher Lai responded that she must need to gather 20,000 monster coin first because no matter how good a genius they may be, they could still be bad after the game. This was Griffin, Lai Yingzai, a martial art course instructor with 5-star Heaven Realm. The game rules may look simple for them, but it's not simply to obtain sufficient amount of monster coin. Strong students who want to learn under Jiang Ming and Lai Yingzai could have to take initiative and attack before weaklings group could think. But defeating the student doesn't mean they'll obtain monster coins, and there are also chances of third party that waiting for coins to drop and grab by them. The cup was especially designed when there are less monster coins it won't fall out, but when the coin monster increase, a slight shack will make many coins fall out. The cup can hold at most 150 coins, which means if someone wants to gather 20,000, they have to grab the other coin while fighting. Since Sunya is one of the freshmen's 4 elites, she manages to fight a huge number of students. The low-rank students prioritize to attack the 4 elites together to remove any problem later. Because of the 4 elites' pressure, many will form small group to fight with them using combination and teamwork. For those that got their monster coins stolen are also not to be underestimated. However, someone approached Meng Kao while he's watching. It was Zai Feng that he wanted to work for him, so he immediately asks him. Zai Feng confused what's with him to work with Meng Kao. Meng Kao told him that he must need to work with him somehow. This is because that Meng Kao's main vessels are damaged that cause his cultivate slow, and his limit wasn't that high. Zai Feng immediately wanted to work with him to obtain a 20,000 monster coins. From now on until the game ends, Zai Feng must listen to Meng Kao's order and they will split the monster coins in half. He called him out to come with him and beat Duan Lion and make all his monster coins, then recruit him. After beating up Duan Lion, he is now targeting Zhang Rui, who runs fast from 4 elites. Meng Kao successfully defeated Zhang Rui to recruit them as his pawn to work with him. Right now, they are now aiming to recruit Sunya to join to their team. Duan Lion insisted wanting to work with Meng Kao, but he loses, so he needed to stick for his plan. She belittled the other 4 elite for being weak and ending up to work with Meng Kao. However, Meng Kao teases her up for being not dumb even though being in martial art course. He explains that the plan was they had to snatch monster coins while Meng Kao was going to guard for it, then they will split up equally. The 4 elite freshman students become furious from what he said, and this was their genuine reactions. He told them at first they have a competitor's relationship without him, so they can't trust each other if they can't work together. Secondly, they must wear battle set since there is limited place to keep monster coins. Lastly, they need someone to keep watching the loot so they can go for all out. Jiang Yu becomes skeptic about the 4 of them are the ones snatching them, so why they have to split equally with a fragment of super being like Meng Kao. So, he explains that the basic foundation of working together is fairness. Jiang Yu begun to move after understanding the situation. They needed to work together to defeat him first, and Meng Kao agreed with it. Somehow, Meng Kao suggested that he can't beat them all if they work together, so he suggested that he can only hold Zai Feng and beat him until he loses the ability to fight. Zai Feng become nervous after Meng Kao targeting again, even though he was talking to Zhang Rui. Zai Feng apologizes to Duan Lion for only dragging him down along with them. Sunya laughs at them after assuming that the Elite 4 like them are the true stupid ones. So, she suggested Zhang Rui to calm down and try to listen at Meng Kao for a while since the time is limited. While they are busy talking, other students taking this opportunity to pick up the fallen monster coins from the ground. So, Sunya became mad for these people who loot from other people. She wants to enjoy herself. She immediately attacks those students who take granted while they are busy talking to their plan. Each target just gets around 10, as she said, and she also added that firstly difficult would be lesser, secondly loss is lesser, and lastly they won't risk lives to fight with Meng Kao and others. So they are now agreed, and Meng Kao suggesting that it was reasonable, so they must keep their stamina sufficient. They now planning to begun and get along to the plan. Duan Lion and Zai Feng starts to attack the other students to farm coins, while Zhang Rui had no choice than following Meng Kao orders. So he go along with the plan while Meng Kao doing nothing and just watching them to fight the other students. Jiang Rui was doubting at Meng Kao while hoping that his fist is also as strong of his tongue to protect the monster coins that they will spend effort and time to snatch. Manhwa explains that he just need the Elite Four to work harder and beat all the people that are stronger until they can't stand up, and naturally there'll be no one to snatch the monster coins. Jiang Ming got interested from Manhwa after being a good and smart student. He's been amazed of Manhwa's skill that manages him to convince to get interested to try and teach him. Also, Li Yingzai got her interest for being Manhwa's personal instructor if he manages to get 19,000 monster coins. However, Manhwa starts to do the dragon snake stance all of a sudden. He then starts to dug 5 different holes into the land as he like planning to do. It turns out that these holes will help him to put all the monster coins to protect it while the Elite Four are fighting the other students. From out of nowhere, he suddenly yells about the 10,000 monster coins that was enough for them so they can come back. Sunya become furious of what he did after yelling about the monster coins that made everyone hear about this. Manhwa didn't stop and keep yelling about the place that has 10,000 monster coins that Elite Four guarding. Manhwa keeps giving a hint about the monster coins that around him while the Elite Four are busy fighting the lower rank students. Just a moment, the Elite Four player starts to surround Manhwa while they were trying to protect him. The lower class students lose their hope for trying to fight against the 4 elite students. Jiang Ming announces that there are only 10 seconds left from the exam, so they must start to prepare. 9 seconds left. As the 8 seconds left announce, Manhwa told to everyone to prevent someone change heart. The last 5 seconds everyone will take out the monster coins. This way everyone will be safe, and Sunya agreed. As the timer hit 6 seconds, everyone began to prepare themselves to take the monster coins. As it hit 5, everyone began to take their monster coins for themselves. However, Duan Lion began to get greedy after having a displeasure toward Zhang Yu. Manhwa expected that someone could not bear this, so he was already preparing from this scenario. So, he threw away some monster coins toward Duan Lion. He immediately reacted from this. Manhwa actually used this to make distraction to make a move to punish Duan Lion from his action. So, Manhwa casted energy to his hand to attack Duan Lion as punishment for his action. Manhwa landed his hit at his face. Because of this attack, Duan loses his balance, resulting of losing all the monster coins that he had from the entire examination. Manhwa took all the monster coins that Duan loses from the event. Because of taking all Duan's monster coins, they got confused. He explains that they must not misunderstand for taking what belongs to him. Because of having beginner range harvest technique with extremely fast hand speed, Duan was so furious of what Manhwa did to him. Jiang Ming finally announces that the examination trial already done. Duan was so mad for Manhwa for being despicable after what he did to him and wanting to attack him. He teases him for breaking the rule if he attacks Manhwa since the game was already ended. He is so mad at Manhwa for treating him like that, and this is caused by his action for being greed. Some of them start being confused for what actually happened. Manhwa explains that Duan shouted Zhang Yu's name while taking the monster coins from the hole. So, Sunya and Zhang Yu got confused from calling out Zhang Yu's name by Duan. So, Manhwa explained further that Duan used this distraction to divert Manhwa's attention so he can sneak attack him. For being Duan as one of the Elite's 5, he knows that he wasn't so innocent that even have some tricks or scheme. Duan yelled at him for not framing him up to do this such thing at him and wanting to do what on the plan. Even though Manhwa doesn't have evidence, Sunya and the other from the Elite 5 students doesn't object these accusations. Duan knows that he's already done that, ended up sabotaging himself toward the other students. Li Yingzai approaches Manhwa for being first student in year's freshman that accumulated 25,100 monster coins. The other students amazed from him while thinking he must be lucky, but some students are remembering him from the Blood Moon Wolf King. However, Manhwa begun to look for someone as he finishes accumulating this such amount of monster coins. Li Yingzai assumes that he was looking for principal or the vice principal, but she advises him that they were busy. But he suddenly thanks her for reminding these people, but all this time he was looking for teacher Gujai and Bu as his teacher. She got flabbergasted as they heard about this. Everyone heard this that made them thinking that Manhwa loses his mind for picking this guy. Li Yingzai asks him if there's any reason about this, so Manhwa responded that he thinks martial art idea fits him. Since Manhwa already decided she can't do anything about this, so she told him where he could find teacher Gu. After the game, at the changing room, Manhwa immediately changed into his student clothes. He goes out from the changing room. The students are approaching Li Yingzai and Jiang Ming for registering their monster coins. But Manhwa didn't care about this to avoid trouble and moving forward to number 4 dining hall himself. 5 minutes later, at the number 4 dining hall floor 3. As he enters, he got startled of what he saw. He saw martial students staring to each other while holding their food at the canteen. As he expected from the martial art course specialized dining hall, all the senior and sister stare at each other even during mealtime, filled with hostile, that means cultivate even during daily life. All of a sudden, the students began to fight to each other. All martial art course students are fighting to prove their power, while Manhwa standing in the middle of the mess and speechless. From out of nowhere, someone lunges toward him while he was trying to understand what is going on. So Manhwa got aware from this person. He used his 100 war sword technique to chop his nuts while in midair. This guy name was Manhwa, which one of the known students, and he was so mad at Manhwa for what he just did to him. While enduring the pain, he was threatening Manhwa that he didn't understand of what he did. He suddenly used his energy vessel, and saying that after he beat Manhwa, he will help him to find the person he's looking for. All of a sudden, Manhwa flips a table. But Ma Hong easily destroys this table by his bare hands with a desire of attacking him. Somehow, Manhwa already gone from his position. It turns out that he uses the table as distraction and jumping above Ma Hong while holding energy from his hand. Ma Hong had no idea of how Manhwa manages get behind him that so fast. Manhwa landed a devil pestle at Ma Hong, but he blocked it before it hit again at him. Because of the power of devil's pestle, Ma Hong moves out from his place even he was one of the strong students from the martial art course. Because of this, he got interested from Manhwa of what he's capable for being strong. But Manhwa gone again that made him mad. He began to look for him all over the canteen while Manhwa was hiding because he doesn't come here to fight. After looking for more hiding spot, he saw a pile of table and chair from the corner of the canteen. So, he got for it to use this as his cover while hiding from the others. Manhwa feel exhausted to fight Ma Hong, so he decided to hide here for a while. From out of nowhere, there's a guy who eating a noodle behind him saying that Ma Hong was only because he was from Red Dragon Army's elite scout, so he asks Manhwa of what move he used against Ma Hong. He told him that he used Devil's Pestle, and asked if he wants to try it. But he rejected this because he wasn't here to fight but to just eat. Manhwa advises him not to fight, and he asks if this guy seen teacher Gu Jianbo. The guy suddenly asks him if what was Manhwa's purpose for looking at him. He responded that he wanted to become his disciple. The guy begun to acknowledge Manhwa to avoid this guy for being scammer, and just a trash who has no improvements. He explains that this guy has 1024 project which could be really impossible, and he added that this guy was just a greedy. Even though this guy suggested not to pick this guy as his teacher, Manhwa still insisted and trust his doubts about this guy. So, this guy asks Manhwa if they know each other. Manhwa only replied that he knows him for a long time. That made this guy realizes that Manhwa really don't know each other. Manhwa added that he believes that Gu Jianbo could definitely create a new battle mode that could change the real world, resulting the humans will no longer to lose in any battle. After this, the guy pointed out Ma Hong that they were already found by him. The guy told him to act like they were fighting, then as they fight, they will move to the window and jump out to escape the mess. The guy suddenly lunges a kick into him. It was so fast that he didn't even manages to dodge this because he wasn't expecting this to happen. He flew away because of this kick while Ma Hong got confused of what happened. However, Manhwa recovered his position. He then starts to attack him to fight back this guy like what they are planning to do. The guy seems unbothered dodging Manhwa's attack while he was eating his food and demanding for more speed from Manhwa's strikes. So he teases him Manhwa to stop acting easy for him even though it's just an act. Time to time, Manhwa's speed improving and this guy liking it so much for having a feel that their fight making it seem real. Manhwa losing his energy since he was already using all of his power. He got confused from this fatty guy for being so agile that make things doesn't make any sense for Manhwa. Ma Hong becomes startled as he saw two monsters fighting to each other. The guy noticed that they finally reached the window. So, he gives the sign that their next plan will be happen, so he stopped Manhwa's strike. They jumped out from the window to escape from the mess inside the canteen to avoid any conflict. Both of them landed on the land and tries to recover their momentum to avoid any fall damage. As they landed, Manhwa was shivering while being confused from the guy landing so fine even in a such height. Manhwa wonder his name and asking if where he could find him if they have a chance to convey more. This guy immediately running away from the question while suggesting Manhwa to give up on finding Gu Jianbo as his teacher. Suddenly, he bumped into Li Xingyi while saying a name Gu Jianbo. He immediately turned around while demanding for Manhwa to move aside quickly. Manhwa immediately did this while Gu Jianbo running and thanking him to move aside. But Manhwa had idea about this, so he trips him up. This leads to him to fall from the ground while Manhwa whistling like nothing happened. He falls down from the ground with face first. Gu Jianbo begging for teacher Lai to be softer because there's a student around them. He was crying out for help from the others for being ashamed of what Lai did. Manhwa startled after realizing this was really the teacher Gu Jianbo. Because in the official website, the picture was different, and this is because of the picture was 10 years ago of him. He got flabbergasted after realizing the 10 years away from the present day. But he didn't need to care so much from his past life's memory won't be wrong since Gu Jianbo was the creator of Limit Style. All of a sudden, Menkeo yelled that he wanted to teacher Gu's disciple. But teacher Gu can't believe that Menkeo really wanting to be his disciple even though seeing him like this. All of a sudden teacher Lai demanding an explanation from teacher Gu. She is asking if why Menkeo, a first-place student in the test, was so eagerly wanting to be his disciple. But teacher Gu had no idea from him for being so desperate for being his disciple. Teacher Gu doesn't want to harm a talented individual, but Menkeo just came all by himself. Even though teacher Gu indeed ridiculed himself, it still touched him very deeply. Teacher Lai asks him if why he was choosing teacher Gu no matter what. Somehow, she realizes that Menkeo is a fragment super being and the only place Gu Jianbo can attract this type of people. Teacher Lai suggesting to teacher Gu to bring him along and swore that the Lai Fei Yu tragedy won't repeat again. And he responded that this won't happen again. So she leaves him immediately to have some time talking to each other. Teacher Gu having a thought that Menkeo was desperately wanting to be his disciple because of the Project 1024. So he called him to follow him to show that truth about this project. They arrive at agricultural martial art old building, which is currently agricultural cultivate class and dormitory. Menkeo had never thought that the agricultural garden still has such an old building. Teacher Gu opens up a gate that leading to their destination. Menkeo was confused if they are heading in a basement. Something fell off after teacher Gu told him that this basement wasn't been used for a long time. So, Menkeo responded that it was okay for him then. They met a huge door with energy source in it and teacher Gu put the passcode to open this door. Teacher Gu introduced the 1024 project starts, but he also added that he didn't start this but Zhongyi did. So, Menkeo got confused from who was this Zhongyi. He explained that Zhongyi was the principal's son and he reached Heaven Realm at year 3 as super genius. But he died in the starting period of Project 1024, but previously he used a book to convince him and Yingzai to start the Project 1024 to begin with him. But in the end Zhongyi used himself for the experiment that result of got badly injured and later died in one of the experiment attempts. Because of the pain, spirit status exceeded to its limit that making Zhongyi crazy before dying. Due to Zhongyi's death, Yingzai quitted and joined into Beast Soul Fuse Techniques research. But because of teacher Gu's vanity, he decided to stay and continue the 1024 project research. As Menkeo opened the book, he got startled of what he saw. Because in the book, there's a picture of several students who'd part of the experiment after discovering a new type of medicine. For absorbing that increases the main vessel's spiritual absorb rate by 300% that made him a breakthrough in research. In the end, the last 3 volunteers all died because of the slight poison element deposition produced by the medicine. Even though they tested the medicine's safety, they still weren't able to discover the deposition poison element. And Lai Fei Yu and other trusted unfortunately ended these people's bright future. Because of the frustration from the death of Zhong Yu and Lai Tian Yu, he assumes that this project is a curse for genius being and he can't be master of Menkeo. He then bows his head after thinking that he can't do anything about this problem. All of a sudden, he asks teacher if is that right while having a death stare at him. After teacher Gu heard this, he got confused of what was his point for saying this. Menkeo told him that this was copper calendula, blue silver grass and scorpion venom. Menkeo explains that this cultivate machine doesn't even have much dust, meaningly it is often clean. He added that the cultivate machine's belt has blood and sweat smell that seems to be stained recently. After having all of these conclusions, he assumes that teacher Gu only ended the project on the surface that made him all students leave, but in reality, he'd been secretly using himself as the experiment. He explains that he never did this and don't say things like this just a sudden. Because of this, he suspects that teacher Gu's ability was lacking that made him cause students more harm, and despite being forgotten by people, he was secretly proceed in the darkness. Because of the death of this project, he doesn't want to continue the project anymore, but Menkeo pursuing him to continue. Menkeo gives him a hope that they will do it together and let senior Zhongyi rest in peace and create a bright future. However, he became even more mad for being out of his mind and being crazy for this idea. Even this happened, Menkeo still wanting teacher Gu to work together with him. By using teacher Lai as threat, Menkeo finally joined project at 1024. Using the Tinder old man's name, Yishi organization, Ning Shiwo, Luo Wu, 3 forces were convinced by him to support project 1024. Thus materials, devices, finance and all the problem has been resolved. And by making use of Tinder's beginner healing techniques and intermediate rank healing technique, he replaced teacher Gu and became the Project 1024 experiment target. Because of overly exert body that teacher Gu couldn't fully unleash his power, and finally his fate changed by him. Teacher Gu set up everything to start the number 99 gene medicine as foundation. and he added 35 density silver chain snake's poison. Experiment target has been entered the cultivate capsule, and everything seems normal for him. After 500 times, they finally succeeded. Manhwa finally acquired a 61 main vessel to open, and Gu was so shocked about this. So, Manhwa encourages him to test the stats. Manhwa stands in front of a punching machine to start the test. Because of the experiment, he exceeds from his limit and manages to blow a 1,675 kilogram force. Every time he hits, his force keeps increasing. Manhwa did multiple punches in just a single time. Manhwa's stats made a 264 punches, each fist is around 1,688 kilogram force, and his main vessel has activated super being combat ability, performance stable, and lasts long. Manhwa then used to test his speed. He manages to reach 100 meters with 7 seconds, also he can at least run for 5 kilometers. They are so happy that the experiment successfully succeeded after many students die from this. Manhwa's Tinder system notifies him that the chain mission limit fight first round is completed. He receives a 3-star mission rating after helping sword dancer Gu Jianbo to start a new cultivation path 5 years earlier to prevented hero citizen Gu Jianbo from accumulating too many wounds, extended longevity, brilliant performance. He awakened super being power, and Tinder also upgraded for having a rating system. Because of the rating system, he now needed to ensure the mission gets completed, also need a perfectly completed 5-star rating. Manhwa can't believe of what he saw from the limit fight second round, that he needed to convince everyone to find the key of reasoning to limit types rise, and he needed to defeat 300 people. The 5-star rating special reward was magnetic field heart spirit lighting structure with the description of can unleash spirit energy vessel blast at certain chance. Hit brain cells, unleash strong lightning's brain shockwave, and disturb surrounding intelligence living things wisdom, make wisdom living thing that accumulate, freeze, cooldown, time increase more than 10% appear more times, more opening. Manhwa confused of the same rank means he can only defeat 1-star super being. So, he was planning if he done with agricultural, he was planning to find Chu to play with to convince from the military school. However, another mission pops up with a label of limit fight third round. The detail was he need to hunt at least 1,000 normal beast, 100 rank 1 beast. Because of excitement, Manhwa hugged Teacher Gu so tight. Teacher Gu got so paled after Manhwa hugged him for a full 3 minutes. He suggested to Manhwa to rest for a while after doing the experiment for 3 straight days, but Manhwa feels so very energetic. Just a sudden, Teacher Gu remembers something that made him look so scared for something. This is because the current day was the tamer course and martial art course freshman battle date, and everyone in the course required to attend and starts from morning 9 a.m. but now was already afternoon 1 p.m. Teacher Gu told him that this wasn't intentional, so he told to Manhwa to greet Teacher Lai if she's in a good mood and teacher going to find her this night. Manhwa told him that Teacher Gu already contributed so much for Dragon City, and he mustn't worry and leave the rest to him. Before Manhwa leaves him, he advises him to fix his hair and change into a suit. Because of this, Teacher Gu got confused. Few days ago, Manhwa discovered a shortcut after passing through the forest so he can reach Cultivation Center's backdoor, and he was hoping the competition hasn't ended yet. All of a sudden, a glance of an eye he feels while jumping from these trees. He saw a monster that was hiding from a tree. This was a special nether spirit leopard, and he was hoping to tear this monster apart and research all about its structure. Suddenly, a jungle-like woman was about to drop in front of him from the top of these trees. Manhwa didn't notice this girl's spiritual energy. He noticed her badge from a tamer course. She suddenly kicks Manhwa, but luckily, he was fully aware for this, so he manages to dodge it. Manhwa immediately jumps away from another tree to avoid any conflict. They stared to each other. Just a moment, the branches that they were standing broke. So, they fall from the top of these trees. They both somehow manage to land without any problem, while the woman saved by the nether leopard. Since he notices that this girl was also from the first year, he added him as a friend so they could get a chance to spar. But before he added her, she immediately run away from him. However, Manhwa realizes that he was about to miss the competition. It turns out that this was Woo Woo from a tamer course. She added that she encountered a very nice smell person. A guy with blue uniform asks about this person who had a very nice smell. But she didn't give much information about this person and just said this person had only a very nice smell. She is now wanting to eat him after knowing this person. However, in agricultural martial art course Cultivate Center, Manhwa had a thought of that the freshman course battle is already over. He got inside the loser's room, and Lai Yingzai was also inside this room to check the casualties. He was confused that they said that tamer course doesn't have talented individual, and martial art course has high chance of winning. He was confused that this martial art course wasn't way to upset even they lose. Manhwa approaches Duan Lion while asking if what was going on from this room. But all of a sudden Duan Lion slapped his hand away from him. He assumed that Duan Lion had a despair after losing. Just a moment, Lai Yingzai came up to approach Manhwa for finally arriving, and since she's not his teacher she no need to say much for him. But Manhwa stopped her for a while because he has something to tell her first. He introduced the Project 1024 that made a progress and finally found a way to fix vessel. And to celebrate the progress, Teacher Gu got drunk and went crazy and dragged me and spoke with him for a few hours. So, she asks him if what did Teacher Gu said. He teases her that Teacher Gu still doing the Project 1024 because his love never changed toward her, and secretly doing experiments on his own body. Lai Yingzai got startled after hearing that Teacher Gu doing dangerous experiment on his body all by himself. He explained that Teacher Gu was so scared that Teacher Lai Yingzai might not be make her happy, so he didn't dare to tell at her. Manhwa added that before completing of Project 1024, Teacher Gu belonged himself from the project, but now 1024 was already completed. Lai Yingzai felt guilt after knowing that Teacher Gu did this all this time. However, Manhwa told her that teacher wants to borrow his mouth to tell her that if she gets angry, he will make excuses again. Lai Yingzai asked Manhwa if Teacher Gu was still drunk, but responded that he wasn't fully drunk so she can beat him up for a while. Without wasting any time, she immediately goes for him as soon as possible before Teacher Gu got fully drunk. Just a moment he saw Feng Zai in despair after losing the fight, and trying to cheer him up for not being in despair as martial art course. While shivering, he responded that Manhwa didn't understand since he did not fight with her on the arena, and no idea what she just did. This time it was chain arena battle where Victor can stay on the arena. And that time there's the one only left from the tamer course, while martial art course had 7 people. Even though they were destroyed by this tamer Y course student, it was 1 versus 7 people that was shocking, and what's scary was the way of she defeated them. He added that she isn't a sudden or typically saying a not normal human. They assumed that this girl was more like a ferocious beast wearing a human skin. A ferocious beast with huge grudge against them. So, Manhwa had a thought based of the details he spoken was the same type of battle style that he encountered earlier, so he asks the same description at Fei Xing. So, Fei Xing immediately asks if he know Wu Wu, but Manhwa only knows she's Wu Wu after hearing what he just said. Manhwa encountered her when he was on the way at arena, so he had to spar with her. Then Fei Xing advises him not to spar with her without people behind him. However, Manhwa was confident that he already has cultivated spiritual energy to all organs, all rigidity, flexible and strong, so get things in control. Fei Xing was still hesitating about since this girl was different from among humans. He added that if he often watching news, he will know that 5 years ago the Red Dragon Army exploration team discovered Satellite Town in Baishi Town. 5 years ago, from Baishi Town, there are few years lost contact with Dragon City, which was the Baishi Town's people that almost all turned into barbarian. And the rescue team also searched for a whole year and only found 400 plus people. Wu Wu is even more special because she was found in another spirit leopard den near Baishi Town, and according to what the rescue team member said, she was already that group of nether spirit leopards leader during that time. Wu Wu has high wisdom, and she only used 1 year to learn how to speak and write, even all sort of society knowledge. She reached standard of people at the same age. 1 year later, all lesson that they were was easy for her. Because of her high wisdom and super cat-type beast's affinity, she became a special recruit student, and she joined the agricultural tamer course, and currently she is tamer course's trump card. So, Zai Feng warned Manhwa for her being a talented genius at this moment. But after hearing those words, Manhwa starts to feel that he wanted to spar with her even more. Zai Feng disappointed after trying to recognize the power gap that Manhwa ignored. From out of nowhere, Manhwa patted him at his shoulder. He suddenly told to Zai Feng not to worry because he only looks down at him because of being weak. Originally, Manhwa wanted to join the match since it hasn't ended to use limit type and challenge some to do mission at the same time and make it famous, and now planning to find Wu Wu and spar. Just a moment, someone called Manhwa at his phone. Sister Shizu invited him to quickly come to the resource course because she had good news. He didn't waste any time, so he told her that he will come. But before leaving, Manhwa told to Zai Feng to slowly recover. That made him shock. He explained that martial art course will become the strongest profession, and he mean it. That made Zai Feng confused. Meanwhile, at agricultural resource low temperature warehouse, everyone notices him, and he was known as God Ko because of his performance. So, Manhwa shows his gratitude from the workers for acknowledging him. He prepares himself, and the next stage of limit type experiment scale needs to expand, which requires more raw materials and genetic medicine, and now he will work harder to build relationship with the resource course. As he enters a room, he was surprised that Senior Ning was there to guide him for the harvest time. Senior Ning told him that she heard about the northern offensive mobilized across the city, and this time is extremely rage and it's a rare chance for freshmen. She asks Menkeo if he needed a help to get one slot in resource course. Somehow, Menkeo told her that he doesn't need someone else to replace him and he's going to obtain the harvest using his own way. But she scolded him for always having a strong privilege. Menkeo responded that there are some borderlines that shouldn't be broken. So, she ignores it and acknowledges Menkeo that his grandfather and other will talk to him in person and ask if he learned about flaw detection. The flaw detection is the harvest technique which aims to discover effect of certain moves and the weak point of beast, and study the best way for certain beast. Luckily his current ability, and the 1024 vessel sharpened sense was open and it won't be a problem for him. He wants to try but Menkeo didn't see the corpse source. She told him that these are not the monsters that they are going to harvest because there are more monster coming. Just a moment more monsters have been arrived from the tamer course students. They took the dead beast since it was Sister Ning's responsibility after being these monsters got destroyed by the martial artist course. After this, they are wanting a hand to find the reason of losing. She told them that they come at the right time because Menkeo's technique is a top-notch in resource course and by his guide, he will definitely confine the fatal wounds in the body of biochemical beast. He immediately approaches Menkeo to ask some help and he immediately accepts the demand from these students. They immediately put the dead beast to examine the fatal wounds of these dead biochemical beasts while Menkeo asking Senior Ning about of what they doing. She wanted to put a respect for both martial art and team beast course. This made Menkeo speechless. The tame beast is already put on a table to start the examination. The student become confused since he never heard Menkeo before. Just as sudden, he told to the staff to stop for a while from the anatomy of silver fire lion. He noticed that the belly was lightly built, softer to the touch than internal bleeding which is the result of proliferation of velocet circularies in its body. He asks about the 500 milliliter volume of condensate to inject the needle from between the third and fourth rib and inject slowly to avoid explosion then slowly dismantle. Menkeo starts to demonstrate the technique that he know. Since a shatter blade python is not precious monster he draw a line to explain the sword trace slash that killed this shatter blade python. The student realized that Menkeo was really strong. After the demonstration, Menkeo decided to do the rest while stretching out. He approaches a rhino-like biochemical beast to begin the examination and extraction. But he noticed that the situation wasn't right and different. He put a thermometer to examine the wound that this monster took. He was so shocked after this monster's battle just about 2-3 hours. Its intracranial is still above 30 degrees. He then disinfects the biochemical beast before starting the extraction. He took his scalpel to pierce the rhino's tough skin to check the wound status since it was unnatural. As he opens up the wound, he saw a fist mark that made wound erupted from inside out which caused by Heartbreaker fist because of the abnormal high temperature inside the skull shows that the punch also had a strong flame attribute. Because of being able to use Heartbreaker fist so well, he knows someone possessed a domineering flame that made him think Duan Lion did this for remembering the Berserk Dancing Lion which was compatible with the secret technique. Based of the hit point, he assumes Duan Lion did this damage right in front while attacking. Upon examining the dead biochemical monster, he was thinking if this was a Heartbreaker fist or Berserk Dancing Lion that requires a long time to accumulate and charge energy. So, he immediately asks if whose armor rhino was this to ask about when he start accumulating energy. A student from Tamer course raises his hand to tell him that this was from him. He asks if he wanted to control and used Wild Charge as ultimate move to fight against another ultimate move and he told him that he did. Even the armor rhino toughness was torn out as an outcome with just one move. Menkeo felt pity after a beginner accumulating too much time. When he finally had controlled Rhino and accumulated power, and started to charge, Duan Lion also accumulated energy and used Berserk power. Because of the beast charge he can't do anything than seeing Armor Rhino suffering from Duan Lion's Berserk power. He realized that the Armor Rhino had no choice to take the one shot. After telling the story about this, Menkeo was right after examining the Armor Rhino. Menkeo suggested him to use normal charge to make Dual Lion injured to avoid losing control from the spiritual energy. Because of the 100 km/h charge, there's an instance that Armor Rhino would be also injured. When Dual Lion's skill is cooldown and Rhino's corpse is damaged, but in exchange, there's a possibility that Duan Lion might have few broken bones and took this opportunity to attack him. Everyone was so happy after Menkeo guiding them to fight the martial art course. After a few conversations and guide he receives a contribution points. The next monster was the Seer Halberd that has many wounds but crucial wound in the left eye area. He had an idea that this move should be caused by Sunya from martial art course. Because Sunya opened over 80 main vessels and her body was so very agile to fight this kind of monster. She made use of chasing wind shower, unpredictable sword techniques, and totally surrounded the halberd. The tamer instructs to sear halberd to lower its head while charging again and again. She relies on the tanky specialty and forced Sunya to Arena's corner. Due to panic got brought into Sunya's momentum, he instructed it to dodge. When the opening was shown to Sunya, she immediately attacked from the left eye area. So he suggested to the tamer to use Beast's specialty so they can at least win if not exhausted Sunya's energy. He also added that team battle when facing strong opponent to have less lose is equivalent to win. She shows her gratitude for taking Meng Ko advice. Besides, another monster was there, and it was Demon Spider that died tragically while thinking this caused by Zhang Rui. Zhang Rui's kick technique was strong like two war axe. Making him wear these sharp sword boot would make him scary. However, Crypt Demon's defense isn't that high, even spear halberd or iron armor rhino would get split into half. From what Meng Ko know, after Jean changed the Crypt Demon Spider's stickiness liquid, corrosiveness, and productive should have been enhanced. So he immediately checked the internal organs. So he assumed that the tamer tried to aim for Zhang Rui's leg and wanted to stop it, and the student agreed. The success rate was too low, but he explained that it was his first time to encounter someone like Zhang Rui. Meng Ko advises him to just spray the stick liquid everywhere and surrounding to make the range larger and reduce their speed to lowest. But the student was hesitating if he can move, but Meng Ko told him that he can't, but the Crypt Demon Spider can move. After hearing these advices, he was so happy for Meng Ko's guidance. After hearing all the Meng Ko's speculation about their tamed monster, they realized that martial art course wasn't strong and it's just their strategy was wrong. So, they are delighted to note that Meng Ko's combat method can increase their win rate against Wu Wu. While they are talking, Meng Ko interrupted them to suggest that they must use the strong endurance of Beast Tamer to fight with martial artist and make them use ultimate move. Because of continuous unleash of ultimate move, it will bring huge pressure to the main vessel. This will result explosion like a barrel. So, he suggested that they must attack when the martial artist course combat ability decreases. After saying this, Meng Ko shoulder tapped the student for giving more advice, while the student was so happy that Meng Ko's opinions helped them a lot. One of the students from Tamer course was so delighted and assuring that in their next battle they will be better than before. Meng Ko refused to make a feast after they won because he has another plan. He was demanding them to split the Beast Soul Flow and martial art course to make them cry so hard. He suddenly introduced Teacher Gu Giant Bow's limit type flow to achieve their win. Then they are so shocked when they realized that Meng Ko wasn't actually in martial art course. One of the students tried to convince him to join at Tame Beast course after the advices that he gave to them. Meanwhile, Sister Ning is just looking at him for his answer. But he declines for it since the control beast requires synchronization rate and spiritual index that could be violent. Because there is more beast that could be intolerable. One of the students got mad, but Meng Ko wanted to prove it to him of what he said. However, he demands a spar to show the future main flow battle mode's effective supplement. Then he offers a 10,000 monster coin at most since these students like to bet. Last time, Wu Wu destroyed 7 students in a row, but Meng Ko wanted to destroy 10 students, meaningly every student can split 1,000 monster coin if they win. The students become intense and trying to underestimate Meng Ko since they had no idea about him. Meng Ko wanted them to take a slot from the Beast Tame reinforcement for Northern Frontline if they lose. One of the mad students agreed from this offer. He calls for the other students to bring the beginner rank biochemical beast to prepare their fight. Then Sister Ning offers an arena since they are really wanting to take a sparring. Meng Ko was so delighted to hear about this. After preparing, they go agricultural deserted warehouse to do the spar. The student demanded to Meng Ko to use any weapon. But Meng Ko refused for it since he fully prepared. Then he asks who will going to fight him first. A girl student wanted to go first with her biochemical tamed beast. He tries to motivate her to show what the tame beast's power capable of in terms of fighting against martial art course. She then introduced her new spear halberds biochemically changed than before, so she thinks Meng Ko really need to use weapon to avoid any injury. But Meng Ko confidently wanted to do the sparring without any weapon. Without any hesitation, she starts to control her spear halberd. She orders his spear halberd to charge toward Meng Ko. However, Meng Ko stands still in front of the charging spear halberd. He got hit by the charge of spear halberd. The students are so happy and cheering their classmates since they thought that the sparring already done. Just a sudden Meng Ko landed on his foot like nothing happened, and they were so shocked about this. After the charge, Meng Ko relied on both legs' explosive strength to move back. He waited until the charge is over so both him and halberd's speed became almost zero to avoid any damage from the charge. After thinking of what Meng Ko did, he knows that he still had more thing hiding. Another charge happened, but Meng Ko seemingly dodging its attack. He just smiling like its attack has no threat for him. Manhwa was so confident because he knows that Spear Halberd's charge was too simple for him. So he had many methods to counter this, and he used a fire to attack the Spear Halberd. She was so confident that this fire won't even hurt the Spear Halberd, so she orders the Spear Halberd to lower its head to protect the mouth and nose. All of a sudden, she realized something. The Spear Halberd starts to scream in agony from the pain that he receives from Manhwa's attack that he did earlier. She thinks that something entered from Spear Halberd's body. Then her beast lies on the ground while enduring all the pain from the fire that it enters his body. Because of the shared sense, the beast tamer's 5 senses temporarily lost control. Manhwa pointed the knife at her neck to end the sparring with her while asking why don't bring those weapons. He was so shocked of what just happened because he had no idea of what Manhwa did. He then tries to connect to the Spear Halberd to avoid the beast to collapse. He then calls the medic to check the spiritual index to avoid anything happen to the beast. They immediately rush from the scene. They help her up to make immediate action to her situation to avoid any serious problem. Manhwa explained the limit type flow could make an individual sharp body sense, that's why he predicts everything. Because of this he can become powerful than normal people. After they heard about this, they feel that Manhwa's combat method is scarier than beast soul flow. Manhwa also introduced the powder that he throws and it called Heart Circular Worm. Manhwa just poked the Spear Halberd and the Heart Circular Worm entered into its body to naturally heartbroken. Because of sharing the feeling from the tamed beast, she didn't detect when Manhwa appeared behind her. He realized that martial art freshman test's number was different from others. He then calls the next one. Suddenly a student with a hairband of a cat appeared. She was Wang Ting as the next sparring partner for Manhwa. Her terror cat name has the notorious nickname and it is Human Reaper. Manhwa knew that its sharp fang, sharp claw, length, size and all attribute target was its advantage, but because of its super sharp sense of hearing it could be the biggest weakness. Manhwa secretly pulled his infrasonic buzzer. Wang Ting starts to cast her spiritual energy to command her beast. Human Reaper suddenly dashes. It's about to reach Manhwa. The woman that loses earlier, assuming that Manhwa has no ability to dodge its quick attacks. Manhwa are just standing still even though Human Reaper already close at him. She assumed that no matter which direction Manhwa tries, she has countermeasure for it. Manhwa didn't move, that resulting to receive the attack of Human Reaper. Wang Ting was so shocked as Manhwa didn't dodge its attack. They were so happy that their assumptions are right that Manhwa can't dodge its attack. Manhwa was about to fall after receiving the notorious cat attack. However, the infrasonic buzzer was already placed at her beast. Because of insensitivity from loud sound of her beast, it falls off the ground while trying to run away. They were so shocked as they saw the biochemical creature had a problem after attacking Manhwa. Somehow, Manhwa was standing still like nothing happened at him. Everyone trying to wake Wang Ting up, but unfortunately, she was stuck from being connected from the beast. Manhwa finally reached her up while pointing his knife at her neck. Manhwa told her that he already won. Just a moment, the Intercept Control Authority was called out. Wang Ting collapses after losing control with her spiritual beast. The students immediately run towards her to her up. Somehow, his spiritual energy activated from out of nowhere. He loses control of his power. He then removes the control. It turns out that the control transfers at him with the notorious cat. As he checks the beast, he saw an infrasonic buzzer at its ear that causes the pain that he feels earlier. He immediately asks Manhwa if when he did put the infrasonic buzzer from the notorious cat. Just a sudden he realizes Manhwa's plan. He told him that he can actually control his self-muscle to avoid any fang and claw hit him. Some student was so mad after Manhwa only using mere tricks that made them think a wasn't fair victory. Suddenly, Manhwa asks them to fight the 8 remaining all together. They were so furious after Manhwa told this that they assume Manhwa looking down on them. Senior Fang thinks that Manhwa wants to lose against many to glorious even defeated. But Manhwa knew that Senior Fang think this way too much, so he is assuring that he gonna win. Even Manhwa loses or win, he is not going to say any word about it. Then Senior Fang call everyone to fight Manhwa as he uses limit type. The duel begins with multiple beast tamer with their powerful beast. Senior Fang was so mad that he really wanted to teach Manhwa a lesson. Controlled beast lunges at Manhwa at the same time while he's just standing still in the middle. Suddenly, Manhwa raised up a gun while saying to be careful. He rapidly shoots his gun at the top. Senior Fang got curious of what he was planning to do with these guns. It turns out Manhwa wanted to shoot the bull. He shoots multiple bulbs inside the sparring arena. Everyone became more defensive after all the lights gone out. Manhwa was just smirking after he successfully turned off all the lights. He then jumps up while doing a twist mid-air. He then shoots again while turning around mid-air at the monster at floor that trying to attack him. Manhwa targeting all the crystals that help the tamer to control the beast. after successfully destroying all the crystals. The sword halberd board had gone berserk. Also, the shatter sword python loses its control too, and now both of them be gone berserk. Senior Fang was so flattered after Menkeo only targeting the control device. The students tried their best to fight Menkeo even though they slowly collapsing as a group. They all starts to panic after their beast loses all the control and began to berserk from the arena. Menkeo was finally done with his mission, and now all he needs to do is just let the beast fight to each other until they done. 3 minutes later, Menkeo are just sitting at the top of the beast after a long fight. The senior Fang asks if this is the reason of why Menkeo wanted to fight them alone. He assumes that by making use of the dark and destroying the control beast device, and making the beast berserk to make chaos to their number advantage to disadvantage. From the start, Menkeo picked this place to work with his strategy. So, he had a doubt that since challenge started, he already planned this. One of the students said that if they went into original order, they would have been no match for them. Menkeo replied, I don't have 100% to continuously fight 10 tamer experts one by one. They are actually strong, as he said, but they think this is just sarcastic way. Senior Fang wanted to ask Menkeo a question. He asks about the bullet that he used because the biochemical beast's control device can't pierce into normal bullets. Then Menkeo confidently answered that if you hit 3 bullets at same point, even control device isn't that strong. They were so shocked as they heard this. Senior Fang couldn't believe at him since it was too dark, and there's no way for him to clearly hit those shots. He explained that in normal people they can't do. However, the sensitivity of nerve ending and stability of muscle fiber has greatly improved that could help to make everything possible. Senior Fang had a thought of limit type flow which was so different from their combat style. Wang Ting asked if does limit type flow was actually good as he described. Menkeo doesn't want to force them to listen to him, because they already personally experienced the limit type flow technique. From out of nowhere, Menkeo wanted them to volunteer and participate in Project 1024 project experiment to learn a type of vessel cultivate method. They got flabbergasted as Menkeo wanted them to teach the limit type flow. Menkeo explained that he wasn't want to flex or fight for the monster coin because he had another plan. They are still confused at Menkeo. Menkeo was so disappointed that they can't still understand of what his points. I'm not greedy, I don't seek money, as he said. He even doesn't seek for the fame. He explains that he's not a type of person with a vulgar interest and only wanting to make contributions. His hobby is to spar and chat with his comrades and student in order to grow bigger. Meaningly, he doesn't want to provoke them. So, he was trying to pursue them to come with him while promising to teach everything. The Tame Beast course students were so speechless. Senior Fang tries to hold his composure to wake and won't fall from Menkeo's plan. He introduced that the limit type flow mainly cultivates 1024 vessels, so they don't have conflict with Brain's main 8 vessel. They were frustrated of hearing Menkeo's words. A moment later, everyone was following Menkeo and thanking him for helping them to learn a lot. They are so happy after Menkeo guided them to be better. Somehow, some students were so prideful he doesn't want to call Menkeo as their senior. Sister Ning suddenly came up to ask if they already completed the harvest homework. Because of the lose of Tamer course, Sister Ning wanted some explanation to avoid being a sore losing since she's not happy about losing. Just a moment, she approaches Menkeo if how he manages to fight them all together. Menkeo replied that because I promised to teach them the limit type flow that I used to defeat them. After the exam, they finally had a feast at Tamer Canteen. Some students had no idea because they only hear Senior Fang was scolded by their own advisor for over an hour. Even the chef was frustrated for not coming for their celebration party. The rumors had spread that martial art course Menkeo defeated 10 of their tamer experts. They talk about that experts had been weakened, so they assumed that Menkeo did a dirty trick to win. After the rumors that spread, the students always talk about this. All of a sudden, the chief turned around since someone asked him if Senior Fang was here. The chief began to panic like he saw a ghost behind him. It is because Menkeo was holding Wu Wu with her beast while asking if this is the tamer course canteen. He asks if where he can find Senior Fang Lin. The students began to be mad at Menkeo for provoking the tamer course. But a student stopped him to calm down and look closely at Menkeo. They were so shocked as they saw Menkeo holding Sister Leopard at his shoulder. The other student also pointed something behind him. It is because it was Sister Leopard's nether spirit leopard without consciousness. So, they asked what Menkeo did to Wu Wu. Menkeo seemed thinking an answer. Then he only replied that she might got food poisoning. They are curious of why Menkeo looking for Senior Fang Lin. It turns out that he picked up Wu Wu and wanted to send her back to Tamer course, but he only knows Senior Fang Lin. Then he immediately leaves at the place to let the students celebrate their victory against martial art course. Then the students are so speechless after Menkeo leave. It turns out earlier, Manhwa had encountered with Wu Wu at the forest to have a spar. He dodges one of Wu Wu's attack. Manhwa was so shocked to see the rock claw that Wu Wu did. It is because this attack can make a serious damage at him if it hits. Behind Manhwa, Wu Wu lunges at him to attack. Luckily, Manhwa dodged her attack with her sharp claw. Manhwa jumps away from her since her agility was different from him. Manhwa was happy that Wu Wu received his message that he sent from her. She agreed at him and replied that she received 10 messages from Manhwa. Manhwa assumed that she's the strongest freshman in agricultural combat profession, so he wanted to make her recognize the power of limit-type flow. Wu Wu rejected Manhwa's assumption about being the strongest. She then became a lot more furious. Wu Wu jumps into the action again. While Manhwa was standing still, Manhwa swinged his arm with 3 blades inside of his fingers to counter Wu Wu's attack. Because of that, he successfully blocked her attack and only hit the branch of the tree. Manhwa smirks at her to feel more hyped up. Leopard attacks him, but Manhwa reacted into it immediately while Wu Wu was stuck. After jumping out the situation, Manhwa removed his jacket while casting his energy. Wu Wu was so mad that she wants something to do against Manhwa. She wanted to eat him alive, so he began a lot wilder. Manhwa was so happy that he had a feeling of fighting someone as strong as him. So, he used limit-type Flow Dragon to show how powerful was this technique. Manhwa charges up at her. Wu Wu immediately reacted into it. Manhwa throws some knife at her position. Luckily, Wu Wu and Leopard dodges this attack. Leopard's tails was ready to do something. It hits Manhwa's back, but fortunately his dragon limit-type flow was so tough enough to be unbreakable. He then charges to attack Leopard. Meanwhile, Wu Wu saw this as an opening to attack Manhwa, but Manhwa knew it and she fell for it. She lunges while using Rock Claw, but Manhwa changed his target at her with the limit-type Flow Dragon Roar. Wu Wu knew that she made a wrong move. Therefore, she got hit by Manhwa's attack because of not expecting Manhwa could do this. Because of Wu Wu's mistakes, she tried to shield her body by crossing her arms, but the little knives that Manhwa threw still hit her. Wu Wu still managed to stand straight even after receiving Manhwa's attack, and even if she was wounded. She then glares at Manhwa, who is on another branch of a tree, as she sips the blood that was dripping from one of her wounds. Seeing that Wu Wu got a little bit annoyed, Manhwa even told her that he noticed that her rock claw is not that strong anymore. All of a sudden, Wu Wu shouted, and she quickly removed the clothes that she was wearing, leaving only her undergarment. Manhwa did not understand what was she trying to do. However, Wu Wu was not done yet. She even grabbed her undergarment with the purpose of removing it. But before she became completely naked, Manhwa immediately stopped her from stripping it. She then explained to Manhwa that she was just stripping her clothes just because he did, too. Manhwa was not expecting that that was her reason. He then reminded her that they should pay attention to appearance more than anything else. Wu Wu then agreed to him, but she also complained that being human is so troublesome. After that, she asked Manhwa to continue what they have started there. She then jumped from one branch to another twice. Manhwa told her that the direction of her attack was too obvious. However, after launching a few times more, Manchu lost sight of her and she became faster. He was shocked at how fast she moved this time. All of a sudden, Wu Wu appeared in front of him with both of her hands raised as she told Manhwa to eat her attack. She did it so quickly that she even got close enough to Manhwa. However, it seems like Manhwa is still smarter than her, since he was still able to dodge her attack just by simply hanging himself upside down on the branch just before she gets too close. After successfully dodging her attack, he felt relieved because he also kept himself from being screwed. On the other hand, Wu Wu was not happy with what he had done. She then asked him to be more serious. But Manhwa told her that he was being serious even if his face clearly shows he was not. All of a sudden, a gun hidden under Manhwa's pants was revealed because he was still hanging from the branch. Wu Wu immediately discovered it without Manhwa even knowing. She suddenly jumped off again from one branch to another. Manhwa was a bit worried as he hung on the branch, seeing that Wu Wu was up for another attack. Manhwa complains about it, telling her that he has not stood yet, but she kept on attacking him. Wu Wu quickly made her way to Manhwa's pants to grab the gun hidden there without being noticed. While she was doing it, Manhwa released a ball of energy around him, making Wu Wu and Leopard to be thrown away. He then warned Wu Wu to be careful now that he was ready to fight along. He is going to use the limit-type Flow Twin Dragon Roar this time. Wu Wu launches towards Manhwa, telling herself that she now finally caught him. However, Manhwa just smirked and then threw his little knives again as she gets closer. The both of them successfully dodge each other's attack. Before landing on a branch, Manhwa gets the gun he hid under his pants and then he aims it immediately towards Leopard. He aims to take out the control device at the beast, but when he fired it, it won't shoot. Little did he know that Wu Wu was already over him, ready to attack him from up there. When it is time, Wu Wu kicked him so hard that made him crash down to the ground. Because of that attack, Menkeo fell to the ground. The impact of his fall created a huge hole where he crashed. Menkeo thinks that the attack was so fast while he was getting up from falling. He wasn't even up yet when he noticed Leopard's claw on his side. He felt bad for himself for a moment, and then he moved as quickly as he could to dodge from him. Luckily, he safely got away from Leopard without a single scratch. All of a sudden, he felt something on the right side of his neck. Subsequently, blood gushed out from his neck. Then a few moments after that, he suddenly collapsed and fell flat on his face again. Menkeo stayed for a few moments in that position. While he was there, Wu Wu was licking the blood that splashed out from Menkeo on her hand. Then she told her that she did not control her power for that attack. Menkeo agreed with her that it does hurt while he was trying to stand. He also commended her for being so cautious by forcefully attacking him just to destroy his gun. Wu Wu knew that he would use his gun to destroy a biochemical beast's control device. She then asked him to submit to her. She wanted to become a nether spirit and she wants him to be her first underling. She also asked him to eat the others together, but she realized that humans can't devour each other. So she came up with the idea to lead all humans to eat all beasts. When Menkeo stood up, he told her that they should talk about eating tomorrow because they first need to save lives. But Wu Wu already told him that he won't die. However, Menkeo wasn't talking about his life. He was talking about saving her life. Then he removed something from his neck that resembles human skin. Wu Wu frowned when she realized that she has been tricked. All of a sudden, her body became numb and then she fell off the ground. She wondered what he did to her that caused her not to be able to move her body. Menkeo explained that the thing he removed from his neck was an artificial skin that is filled with artificial blood with anesthetics, muscle relaxants, and a little nervous snake venom. But he advised her to not worry so much since he brought an antidote with him. He injected it into her while explaining that it will give her a nice sleep because of her physique. Before falling asleep, she realized the mistake she did, which has something to do with his gun. Menkeo agreed with her theory. The gun was the bait he set for her. He has no intention of using it since the school doesn't allow the usage of guns outside of the arena. He even dared to give her a smile as she falls asleep. He is, indeed, such a cunning human, as Wu Wu said. She still tried to hold still even if she was having a hard time. But after a few more minutes, she finally lost consciousness. Menkeo smirked after seeing her so helpless like that. All of a sudden, Leopard grew angrier, and then he rushed towards Menkeo. Menkeo bragged about humans spending 1,000,000 years to evolve and get such a developed brain. And he believes that there is no reason to abandon it so easily. He then faced the approaching beast towards him and punched him hard in the face. The beast was easily hit like that because his combat ability plummeted after Wu Wu lost her synergy. He gave the beast another punch and then an uppercut. It seems like he wasn't putting so much effort into attacking the beast, but still, the beast was helpless against him. He launched from the ground while Leopard was in midair. Then he kicked him down and kicked him up again just like a toy. He gave it a couple of punches again and again. The biological chemical beast can't do anything to defend itself because his master has lost her synergy. As his final attack, Menkeo kicked the beast in the air toward the ground with so much force. The beast crashed onto the ground, creating a thick smoke due to the impact. Finally, the master and the biological chemical beast lay next to one another after losing against Menkeo. He thinks that he should help her wear her clothes back because it would be trouble when others see her looking like that. He then lifted Wu Wu on his shoulder while dragging the beast. He still has to send them to tamer course. He also complained that he only knew Senior Fang Lin, but not his dormitory. The night unfolds outside martial arts course's old building. Meanwhile, Menkeo was out in the woods. It was already past 1 o'clock in the morning when he checked the time. He wanted to rest in the medical capsule after working too hard. All of a sudden, he heard the murmuring just near him. Brother Ma was asking everyone to quickly come with him and return to the team. Menkeo called his brother Ma, and he was actually shocked for seeing him there that time. He then asked the other to go first because he will speak with Menkeo for a moment. Menkeo asked Brother Ma if they are going back to the team. Brother Ma confirmed it to be true since they are being recruited by the troops because they are short of supply. Menkeo then asked about Teacher Gu and why he had not come to send them off. Brother Ma told him what happened that afternoon when Lai Yingzai rushed there aggressively and stayed with Brother Bo for nearly an hour. An hour, indeed. And when they came out, the both of them were walking arm in arm. Brother Bo looked weak while Teacher Lai looked refreshed and radiant. Menkeo and Brother Ma could not hold out the laughter after talking about the matter. After spilling the info, he returned back to the team. Before he left, Menkeo told him that he is sure that Dragon City will win for sure, and he will also go to the front line after a few days. He was eager to get back the peaceful life that the hero citizen ever wanted. Meanwhile, in the martial art course old building's underground laboratory, the timer on the medical capsule turned to 7:30. It started to release blue steam as it opened slowly. After a few moments, Menkeo arises from the capsule looking so refreshed and well rested. He then immediately put on his uniform. He also realized that Brother Bo wasn't back yet. He wondered if he should send him a message to remind him that some things must not be done too often. While he was checking his phone, a message popped out saying that today was the announcement about supporting the North front line. They are asked to gather at the field at exactly 9 in the morning because there is an important thing to be announced. When the clock strikes the 8 o'clock, a few people have already gone to the field. Meanwhile, Duan Lion was telling the others that Menkeo went to the resource course probably to find Sister Ning and use his connections after seeing that their course was lost. But that is not all. He even went to the Tamer course's celebration party last night. And if he's being honest, he really does think that Menkeo is the traitor in the martial art course. He even thinks that he must be preparing to betray them all and go to the Tamer course. All of a sudden, Menkeo appeared and interrupted Duan Lion while speaking, saying sarcastically that if that is so, why doesn't he know that he is going to Tamer course? Duan Lion just smiled at him and called him God Ko. He then asked him whether what was he telling is true or just some allegations. Menkeo explained that he just went to the Tamer course to help check the wounds of the students there, and that he doesn't have a plan to transfer there. Just at that moment, Menkeo realized that Duan Lion was still hostile toward him. He still is bearing a grudge from the freshman test, he thinks. However, no matter what Menkeo said, Duan Lion still doesn't believe him since helped the Tamer course to check the wound, which, for him, is already a form of betrayal. Because of that, other students started to murmur around about Menkeo's alleged betrayal. Consequently, Menkeo explained to them that the Tamer course's students are not beasts, hence, they are not the enemies. They are just rivals. Fortunately, this made the other students think beyond what Duan Lion has told them. Menkeo actually has a point and he sounds reasonable, they said. On the other hand, Duan Lion still thinks of Menkeo as the traitor who once helped the Tamer course after all. All of a sudden, strong winds whirl around the field, bringing a strange feeling to everyone there at that moment. It feels so sold. Some even felt like something scary was glaring at them behind their backs. Duan Lion felt terrified, too. He started to sweat after feeling something behind him. He turned his face back to check what is there. It turns out, it was Wu Wu with her biochemical beast. Duan felt more scared thinking that she came there just to bite them one by one. A student ordered everyone to move aside and be wary of Wu Wu as she walks through the crowd. Duan Lion acted so bravely and warned Wu Wu to not go overboard or else something will happen. He also told her that she can't just act so arrogantly, but Wu Wu doesn't seem to care less about what he was saying since her full attention was locked on Menkeo. All of a sudden, Wu Wu brought out something and handed it to Menkeo, saying it is his clothes, and then waited for him to take it back. Everyone, including Menkeo himself, was so shocked after hearing what she said. None of them expected her to go there with Menkeo's clothes. She even told him that she found it in the forest last night looking so bad, and so she tried to sew it for him. All of a sudden, her face turned red while saying that she doesn't like wearing clothes and it is her first time sewing clothes. Everyone else's faces also turned red and some even spurted out blood out of shock into feeling so elated. On the other hand, Menkeo could not do anything but act normal and smile, but deep in his mind, he felt so awkward for what she has said. With her face still blushing, Wu Wu thinks that Menkeo was trying to troll her since he still has not spoken a word. She then bit her lips and she suddenly rushed towards Menkeo. Subsequently, she grabbed his hand and forced him to put it on her head. Menkeo was so clueless about what Wu Wu wanted him to do, and so he just pats her head a few times like petting a cat, which Wu Wu definitely loved. After a few moments, Menkeo asked if they could have a moment for a while. He then grabbed Wu Wu's hand and he dragged her somewhere far from the students. Menkeo asked her what was she planning to do. He asked her if she was strategizing to take revenge on him. But Wu Wu explained to him that what she did was just a nether spirit leopard's culture. A nether spirit leopard lowers its head and lets another nether spirit leopard place his claw on its head to represent surrender. Having him imagine that he has a face like another spirit leopard, he now thinks that it is, indeed, their habit. But then he remembered that the nether spirit leopard also has a habit of making a new king eat the old king to succeed authority. It means she already ate an old leopard king before. Wu Wu immediately disagreed with Menkeo's accusations, and so he breathed a sigh of relief. However, Wu Wu was actually just tricking him, because she actually ate not just one, but two. She ate the old king and became the leader, then she also ate the one who wanted to be the leader who challenged her. So that means accepting her surrender and becoming a king has no benefit at all because you will be eaten, Menkeo asked. Wu Wu hesitated a moment before she agreed to what Menkeo said. After a few seconds, she told him that he is wrong. There is still a benefit since she could help him sew his clothes. And then she smiled from ear to ear as she thinks about Menkeo's destiny on her hands. On the other hand, Menkeo doesn't really want to think about it anymore since he was already tired of it. Meanwhile, on the field, Teacher Lai was about to announce the 21 people who are qualified to officially participate in the battle after 1.5 months of thorough inspection. She brought out the list and then proceeded with the announcement. The students who are picked are Sunya, Sai Feng, Giant Rui, Du and Lion. Then it came down to the last name. Everyone wonders who will it be. Finally, the teacher announced that Menkeo is the one who is going to complete the list. The student didn't seem to like how things turned out. They think that Menkeo didn't deserve to be listed since he didn't participate in the fight yesterday. He was always missing. Menkeo also heard Duan Lion's accusations over him that he used his connections in order to get qualified, but he just smiled over it. Because of the sudden commotion, the teacher shouted to bring the students back to silence. She then explained that the list was drawn by the dean and course instructors and is done after considering various factors. It means that every student on the list has a reason to be selected. But, in order to achieve the greatest fairness and openness, everyone will have an opportunity to challenge anyone on the list if he wishes to. If one defeated the student on the list, he will replace him and along with his qualification and may go to the front line and fight. However, the challenge has its own rules. First, the timing, location, and rules are decided by the person who gets challenged. Second, the challenged person can only accept one challenge each day, and after 3 challenges, he may then refuse those challenges that will come afterward. Third, the person who got challenged can suggest a bet. The defeated one must pay a certain amount of monster coin to make up for the efforts of the one he challenged. After hearing the rules, Menkeo raised his hand and asked if the rules can possibly be changed. Instead of answering the question, the teacher told him that he can directly give up his slot if he doesn't want to accept any challenge. Thinking that Menkeo did not want to get challenged, he accused him again of knowing only some speculative conspiracy and tricks. Menkeo steps forward until he got close enough to Teacher Lai and then explained that what he means is that he thinks 1 challenger per day is too less and having 3 at most is too boring. He looked down and then he said that he wants to fight 10 challengers. Duan Lion and the other students could not bear the arrogance of Menkeo. But Menkeo wasn't finished yet. He also wanted to spar with those already on the list, indirectly pertaining to Duan Lion, just to show them the newly developed martial art. As for the rules, he pointed his 2 fingers sideways first before he continued speaking. Then he told everyone that from then on, 10 people will attack him together at once. And if in case he defeated all of them, they will have to give him 3,000 monster coins each. In return, if he loses, he will give them 30,000 monster coins and will give up his slot for them. Meanwhile, Teacher Lai thinks that Menkeo must have 35 main vessels. She thinks that he cannot withstand 10 opponents even if his support vessel cultivation has progressed. She then told Menkeo that martial artists are not monsters, so they should not kill each other. Actually, Menkeo already expected that the instructors already knew about the matter yesterday. But Menkeo believes in himself and his limit-type flow power even more. He then asked the 10 students who wants to challenge him to come. Duan Lion was eager to test the limit-type flow Menkeo keeps on talking about. That's good to hear. Menkeo then told him that he will let everyone know the future combat style and understand the profound meaning of limit-type flow. Suddenly, Duan Lion had second thoughts. He wonders if he truly understands the profound meaning of some martial arts. Menkeo then leaps off the ground as his main vessels activated. Duan Lion commended his nice stance as he prepares himself for a battle. Eventually, Menkeo lifted his arms up and aimed to throw a punch. It seems like this attack will be so powerful as he approaches Duan Lion. However, Duan Lion could not believe what happened next. Instead of actually attacking him, he ran as fast as he could. Even Teacher Lai was shocked by what he just did. Menkeo continued running like a mad person, leaving everyone behind after all the boasting he told them. Duan Lion was disappointed. He thinks that he has been tricked again after realizing that Menkeo never mentioned where the fight is supposed to happen. That means that he has no plan to fight 10 persons at once alone. He also thinks that he just made up the limit-type flow in order to run away from the start.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Leave a comment for the next part, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.